Hello, dear listeners. You're listening to the GamePitch Podcast, a weekly chat between two pals that is all about video games and the game industry.
Every week, we'll bring you the latest gaming news, hand out industry red cards, and pitch an all-new game idea.
The GamePitch Podcast drops Monday mornings on the Project Nerd Podcast Network.
It's the perfect antidote to your end-of-the-weekend blues.
I'm JD.
And I'm Eli. Let's get to the show.
Hey, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the GamePitch Podcast. I am your host, JD, here with my excellent co-host, Eli. As always, Eli, you want to say hi to everyone?
Well, hello, listeners, and hello to you. J to the ready, set, bake!
It's so good to hear your voice, Elijah. It's been a crazy quarantine-free week for me. I've been at work all week, and it has been absolutely nuts. It's the end of the month, which meant that it was just pure chaos in and around work all week. And so this is going to be good. I just feel it. This is going to be a good one. How was your week?
It was good. Well, I see, look, I thought this was going to be a great podcast, but I'm disappointed you didn't get my homage to the Great British Baking Show that you have now made me start watching.
No, I did absolutely get it. Did you start old or new? Did you start in the first collection or did you start in the newest collection?
I wasn't getting enough Cooking Mama drama. There have been zero updates on the Cooking Mama front. So I was like, you know what? I need to get my bacon somehow. You know, you mentioned Great British Baking Show. I started watching it. The original collection. I'm in the season with Martha, the young baking lass who is astounding the judges left and right.
See, here's the thing. When you get to the newer ones, one of the judges changes and the hosts change. And one of the hosts is Noel Fielding, who is famous for the Mighty Boosh. And it really, you can't beat it, in my opinion. He is excellent. And I love the Mighty Boosh and I love Noel Fielding. And it's so good. And you'll know when you get there.
So I have something to look forward to. Obviously, this is once again a podcast about gaming. What were you playing this week, dude?
Oh, Elijah, let's just say, first off, before I even talk about games, what a busy week it was for gaming news. The news never slowed down this week. It was like trying to get a sip of water from a fire hose. And then you got punched in the face right afterwards also. It was busy. Let's see. So I played a little bit of Animal Crossing this week and really not much else because like I said, it was a very busy work week. And by the time I got home, I was just kind of beat. I will say one IRL thing that did happen this week that's not video game related at all is I finally got a haircut.
Oh, how did it feel?
It's glorious. It is so good. What a simple pleasure that before I took as a routine chore of just tedious time wasting, that now I savored every moment of seeing that hair fall to the floor. It was incredible. It was so good.
And that sounds delightful. See, and I was so excited to pod with you this week that I completely brushed over us, kind of saying what the show's even going to be about this week. I know we're going to talk about Assassin's Creed Valhalla because that was huge. We're going to talk about the Naughty Dog news because that has been kind of taking over the game industry. And then you're pitching a game this week too, right?
I am, yeah. Like I said, it's a fire hose of news. And we have but a small bucket. But we're going to do our best because now our bucket overfloweth with excellent content. But what were you playing this week?
I was playing The Messenger, and it is so damn good. In the same way that Shovel Knight gave the Mega Man frenetic adventure, or just quick, excellent combat kind of thing, and just just jump in platforming and it feels good. That's how The Messenger is, and it feels like Ninja Gaiden, and I really enjoy it.
That's awesome. Are you playing that on your Switch or on...
Switch, baby? Come on. I got to watch the British Baking Show, too. So I got the Switch in the hand. I got the bakes on the screen. It's real good.
You got the perfect setup.
Yeah. So the British Baking Show. I doubt that they're going to sponsor us, but we do have something. We do have something for the fans that I think they're going to be really excited about.
Very excited.
It's totally unauthorized. We've got this new G Fuel game, not brought to you by G Fuel. And you know what, JD?
Not yet.
Yeah, not yet. You're going to be the contestant, but we have a brief word from G Fuel first. Is that okay?
Absolutely. I'd love to hear it.
G Fuel. When you're looking for fuel, they're the fuelist.
God, that is good. It makes me want to stock up on some more G Fuel right now.
Yeah, so I think it's time to go to the game show, and I think everyone will be really familiar with this kind of format. So, bum ba da ba da da. All right, everybody, it's time to play. Is that fuel? Today's contestant, we've got JD on the line. JD, I'm going to give you 3 different flavors of G Fuel. You're going to say, is that really fuel or is it not?
All right, I'm ready. I'm a big, long-time listener, first-time player. I'm ready.
All right, so here on the G Fuel game, we've got hype sauce. Is that a real flavor of G Fuel?
That's disgusting. So yes, it probably is.
Ding, ding, ding. You've got it correct, JD. That is a flavor of G Fuel. All right. Moving on. You've got 1 point to our next round. The most weird flavor I've ever heard of for G Fuel. Snow cone.
No, that's too generic. If I'm a pro gamer and I'm trying to fuel up for my next 15-hour marathon session of Call of Duty Warzone, I don't want snow cone.
Wrong.
Oh.
It is a flavor of G Fuel.
Oh, no.
Okay, don't worry. You've got one wrong. You've got one right. This last one's for all the marbles. Are you ready, JD?
I've got to redeem myself in the final.
All right. So this last flavor for all the marbles here is called Battle Tea.
It's not real. There was no way they'd ever use a natural leaf like a tea leaf in a drink. It's got to be all chemically synthetic. So no way is it real.
You are correct. What we did was we changed combat to battle. It's called combat.
I just want to say that G Fuel, it's always marketed towards the pro gamers, the FPS, Twitch streamers, the esports crowd, but what about us, the Animal Crossing nation, the Stardew Valley early risers trying to farm and raise their animals, those of us that are chill, the Elijahs of the world, playing games on their Switch and watching Great British Baking shows? I mean, what about us? We're ignored, and we have a right to fuel up as well, okay? So instead of combat tea, maybe they can make, some sort of chill out tea. Come on, G Fuel, sponsor the show.
You got to do it, guys. Look, we're here. We're unauthorized. We're not brought to you by G Fuel. We've got to do it.
Not in the slightest.
Let's move into our fastball stories for
Let's
this
talk
week.
about video games.
Yeah, so we drafted this week 11 different news stories. And JD, you had the first pick. What do you want to talk about?
Okay, so the first pick was absolutely an obvious pick. I don't know why you thought this wouldn't make it into the show. So the Pokemon Center in Japan sells all sorts of amazing Pokemon merchandise, right? It's like the mecca for authorized products made by Pokemon Company Nintendo. And they have launched some amazing Gigantamax plushies. One's an absolute unit of a Pikachu. This thing is massive. It costs, in the US dollar equivalent, a little over $400 for this guy. It is huge. But what really takes the cake is the long form Meowth, the really long cat version. This thing is so long. I've seen some press photos where they advertise it where it's sleeping in bed and it literally reaches the entire length of the mattress. It is incredible. How in the world did this not exist before?
As a single person, I've been looking for a body pillow that I could snuggle with at night. In Gigamax Meowth, I've got to tell you, it seems right to me.
Not just Gigamax. This is Gigantamax long form Meowth. All right, this is whole other level.
You're right. My bad. Now all I need them to do is to take all the probably 700 hours of Meowth from the anime and put it in a little speech box, and whenever I hug it, it just does different lines.
That'd be amazing. You're just like, Meowth, you love me, right? And then you squeeze it and it's like, Meowth, that's right.
All right, our next story, kind of sticking in the Nintendo lane, a Switch game launch that I was really excited about. If you're unfamiliar with Indivisible, it is essentially a side-scrolling action game-ish, but the combat is turn-based, so it's a little bit of Mega Man and then a little bit of Final Fantasy. It has great reviews on PC, and it surprise launched on the Switch this week. So surprising that the game's creator didn't know it was happening. It was just like, what?
Yeah, that was an amazing Twitter post. It's just a photo of him holding up his Switch like, hey, congrats on everyone launching the game, including my team who just found out via Twitter telling us congratulations. How did this happen? And so it turns out it was the company that was helping them port it to the Switch accidentally published an early build, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there's a Twitter thread where he says, initially he's like, hey, the porting group did a great job. But then he's like, hey, what the heck? New Game Plus isn't here. The co-op isn't here. Some of the other, quality of life updates aren't there. It's one of those things where at first he's like, oh, hey, thanks guys for putting our game on this thing. But then at the end of it, he says, there was no PR lead up, so there was no announcement of the release date, and not having the current features that would be easily updated or put in. That's a miss. How does this happen in today's day and age, right?
Yeah, it's weird. And then you wonder, is this a byproduct of maybe people working remotely because of the quarantine? Is it a byproduct of just this company not necessarily doing their due diligence to check the port? there's a lot of variables maybe that could have played into this happening. It is odd though in our such a highly digital, so many forms of communication online world that we live in right now, that this build somehow made it all the way through the approval process and onto the live shop unbeknownst to anybody who was originally developing it. It just seems very strange.
The
Yeah.
certification process takes weeks, the back and forth, and yeah, just the I guess what sucks is there's no, marketing lead up, because I'm a big fan of Skullgirls and the studio that
Yeah.
made that, and they made Indivisible as well, and it looks great. And when it came to PC, I was like, man, I can't wait till that's on Switch. I actually bought it as soon as the creator made that post, but then now I'm actually waiting to play it because it doesn't have all the updates. And
Right.
that's why I started playing the Messenger, because I downloaded Indivisible and I was like, oh, great, I can't wait to play this. And then it was like, nope. And I was like, oh, well, crap, what else should I play? I was like, I'll try the Messenger.
Well, at least you had a backup. That's good.
Yeah.
That's always good. Moving on, our next story, some big Xbox news. So they have recently announced that they have just passed 10 million Game Pass subscribers, which is a huge number. And I am one of them, and I love Xbox Game Pass. And subsequently, that also they announced that they have passed 90 million concurrent live users. So they have 90 million people signed up on Xbox Live in active subscriptions, which is staggeringly high. And it just goes to show, I think, that we've seen Xbox Live evolve a ton since the early days. And Game Pass especially, I have the version that lets me download on PC and on Xbox. And value for money and the games that are on there and the games they continue to add, it's money so well spent, so easily spent, in my opinion. It's such a good value, I think, for gamers who want to try and dip their toes in different genres and different styles of games. It's phenomenal. I mean, just like I love Apple Arcade on my iPhone, I love Game Pass to just get to try different things without feeling like, I don't know if I want to spend $5-10. I don't on Xbox. I don't know if I want to spend $60 on this kind of a game, right? So now you get to try it, and then that kind of opens the doors to all sorts of other games that maybe you wouldn't have dove into.
Well, I think not everyone knows that it's for Xbox and for PC. And I've been gushing about or been hype about Gears Tactics, and that's just free day one for everyone who has Game Pass for PC. It's so cool.
Yeah, it's an amazing move, I think, from Microsoft. And it certainly shows, I think, that they're learning from maybe the last generation, where they looked at the Xbox as sort of this multimedia box. And they talked about that a lot on their like E3 stages, how they wanted everything to go through it, right? And that's why they had an HDMI input, and you can run your TV through it and all this stuff. And that's all well and good. But I think then there was that core audience that was like, we literally bought this box to play video games, right? And so I think now they've taken this step back and they're saying, we really do need to make it all about the games. I think Game Pass is showing that. And I think their approach to how they've marketed the Xbox Series X is also showing that. And we're going to talk about that a little later in the show. But I'm really impressed with them. And I really do think, where I wasn't going to buy this new Xbox at launch, I'm pretty close to wanting to put some money down. So
yeah, I'm definitely going to get the new Xbox at launch. And like you said, man, just those numbers are really impressive. And everything Xbox has been doing has been like leading the game industry, and everyone's like trying to play catch up. Xbox does something, and then like they're like, Ubisoft's doing it now, then EA's doing it now. And so I really think they are the forefront, and they're kind of leading us into the future, and Sony's playing catch up. But you're right, man. Like, it's just awesome. It's really impressive. Speaking of impressive, man. So just 10 million Game Pass subs, and it hasn't even been out that long. So impressive. So
it's amazing.
It's so good. So Voldemort, he wanted to make 7 Horcruxes. That was his intention. There are 8 wonders in the world,
There are.
the Grand Canyon, 8 of them. Cats, they have 9 lives.
They do.
But Google Stadia has 10 new games, JD.
10 whole new games. You talk about achievements and you talk about milestones and monuments, and certainly, what I just said about Xbox is huge numbers. What could be said about the number of raw units that Sony has moved for PlayStation's life? It doesn't compare to 10 games, almost one a month. It's just amazing.
Well, look, man, the thing about these 10 games is they're available everywhere else. So, like...
Not all of them. Let's credit where it's due. I think 3 of them are Stadia exclusives with launch dates TBD. And Stadia, in case you're wondering, if you wanted to make that 21, we do have 11 game pitches. We could make it 22 by the end of this episode. We do have another one lined up. I mean, We could double this amount. We could give you over 100% more games than what you originally showed during this direct.
You
Just
know,
get at us on Twitter.
in all seriousness, dropping the bit. I can't like they're just like, we're gonna do an entire digital event, their Stadia Connect, their version of Nintendo Direct, and they're just like, all right guys, here's 10 games. And I know you gotta tell people what's out there, but this in the face of 10 million Game Pass subs, like that's just
It's a
what's
joke.
going on over there. Yeah, what's going on over there?
I mean, bit aside, it is kind of a joke, and it's kind of a slap in the face to everyone who got the pro subscription of Stadia too. Like, they've been saying like, oh, we're going to get more games. There's more stuff in the pipeline. Like, we're going to take care of you guys. And then it's like the games we're adding are like the old FIFA and also games that you've been able to play on Xbox for the last 2 years.
It's almost like it's worse than Apple TV, because like Netflix is winning. Obviously, Disney has the library. Amazon's been a little feistier in the digital space right now, making original shows. But Apple TV is just like, all right, we've got Steve Carell and Jennifer Aniston. You guys want to come hang out?
Nailed it.
What shows do you have, Apple? But this is even worse than that, because Google Stadia doesn't have Steve Carell. You know what I'm saying? They don't have like a unique IP.
No, not at all. Yeah, I mean, like the little games they did show are curious. They're interesting, but there's not really a good proof of concept there yet where I'd be like, oh man, like Stadia, cool. Like what a coup to get this game. It doesn't excite me. It doesn't make me want to spend money on it by any means. And if I was a Stadia Pro subscription holder, like I would very much question how long I would keep that subscription going. Where the universe gives us incredible news on Xbox and incredible news and memes for this Stadia Connect, they also taketh away reports this week that Nintendo's E3 Direct that they typically hold in June that coincides with the E3 show could possibly be delayed due to some pretty strict stay-at-home and quarantine procedures happening in Japan. And obviously it's a rumor and take it with a grain of salt. And if they have to delay it to keep everyone safe, then they should, and that would be the right decision. And certainly, I think we're going to have a lot of news regardless. What would they have shown in June that they couldn't show later, right? And so, how do you feel about this?
It sucks because we're going to have a hole in our hearts where E3 was, because we're not going to get the gaming news. Like you said, the reports are just all rumors, but it said the event could be as late as July or just not happen at all. And then you think, hey, going into holiday, they have to do something at least by August to tell us what games we're going to be playing on the Switch this winter. And I guess there's enough stuff coming to Switch where enough ports are going to keep us satisfied and happy. And then they have Xenoblade Chronicles, but we want the Mario games that have been rumored. I just tell you what, if you did a Paper Mario Direct tomorrow, I would not need another Direct till November. Like that's what it is.
I think too, for me anyway, they could give us another one of those little Animal Crossing trailers. Like, here's what's coming for the next 4 months. And I'd be like, okay, like I'm good. Thanks guys. See you later. So I think everyone's got different expectations of what Nintendo would have showed and what they want. It's hard to know. One, with Nintendo, it always feels extremely odd because we never really know what they're going to show, right? Sometimes it's just weird, like out there games that no one would have predicted because I don't know if anyone cares necessarily. It is kind of sad. So, I guess we'll just have to see if the rumors are true. So
this is one of those rumors that I believe. Like I fully believe that, especially like you said, with the strict quarantine, laws in Japan right now, Nintendo's probably going to have to delay. And they're always the kind of company that would probably punt on this. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Because people are playing Animal Crossing and it's not going to stop anytime soon.
I know I'm not. I disgustingly looked at my Switch's like playtime and then turned it off right afterwards just as like a temporary measure. I mean, it's not going to stop me. I'm obviously going to go back and play some more today, but it is a disgustingly high number of hours played. So anyway, let's move on.
Yeah, so sticking with Nintendo, look, we're not going to need a Nintendo Direct, JD, because we're going to keep getting events like this Mario Tennis tournament that's happening. And the main reason I want to draft this is because there's been a lot of things like this, and I think we're going to keep getting stuff like this to fill the void. So the NBA, they did NBA players did like a draft, and they played NBA 2K against each other, and that was televised on ESPN. And this tennis tournament, like my favorite thing about it is it's the stay-at-home slam, and it just is filled with a mixture of actual tennis players and then celebrity-ish people and then other sports figures too, which is super weird. So I just wanted to go through some of the names with you.
I would love to.
I would like you to help me pick the official Game Pitch person who's going to win this tourney.
Oh, yeah. No, this is terrific. All right, I'm
Okay.
in. Let's
I'm
hear
not
it.
even gonna name everybody because I don't know who all of them are, but
Just give me the front runners.
okay, so Serena and Venus Williams,
Okay.
obviously they're great at tennis. We don't know
Yep.
how good they are at Mario Tennis. We've got Gigi Hadid. We've got Seal of Seal, former Heidi Klum stuff. We have Steve Aoki. We have Haley Bieber. We have Ryan Tannehill, quarterback. We have DeAndre Hopkins, a receiver. I like DeAndre Hopkins. He's a cool guy. So of that field, who would you say is going to get it?
Did you say Haley Bieber?
I did, yeah. So Haley Baldwin, Alec Baldwin's daughter, is married to Justin Bieber.
Oh my God. I'm so unconnected to popular culture if it's not a video game. I've got to go Steve Aoki for sure.
Okay, Steve Aoki. So my insider tip here. So Gigi Hadid posts a lot of pictures of her playing the Switch, even if it doesn't look like she's ever connected it to a dock before, and she has a coach purse filled with like goldfish, and it looks ridiculous just for the gram, but
I
at
love
least
it.
she has a Switch, so I know she has played a Switch, and she's played Mario Kart, which means she's probably played other Mario Party style games. So my pick is Gigi
Uh,
Hadid.
that's a dangerous, dangerous assumption to make, that just because you have seen Mario on the screen at one time, that the game was even launched. It could have just been the title screen. And I don't know. We'll see. We're gonna track this, and obviously one of us will be the winner. Man, we're setting a lot of contests this episode. We have
Yeah,
another one coming up later. We're just really in a competitive mood with this lockdown, aren't we?
we sure are. What are the other things that are gonna get like these mid-level tournaments? Is there gonna be like a Splatoon thing with a bunch of I don't know
I
who are
think
people that shoot stuff?
Oh, no, I think I know what the next tournament's going to be, and it's a couple stories away. So before we get there, first off, let's talk about GDC Summer. So I have talked about GDC before. I was going to go in March before it was canceled. Got the email that they were going to move it to a miniature summer event. I had predicted correctly, I would add, that there's no way that this event was going to happen in person. And we now know, thanks to the GDC organizers this week announcing that the event is going to be held digital only. They're going to do it all online. It will not be in person, which means that the parties for this event are going to suck because I'm just going to be at home by myself. So
Everything that's been happening might push the world to having more online resources, more educational stuff. And I think specifically in the case of GDC, this will be helpful for people like me and you who
yeah,
want to get into the game industry. So, it is a loss for you because you didn't get to go to GDC and that sucks. But it is also a win for us because hopefully a lot of this educational stuff or these talks are published online for public consumption.
there's pro and con to it, right? Certainly the part that you just said, there's going to be a very living archive of this educational content. And that's great for referencing later, for widely available content for anyone who wants to dig in and learn. The other half of it, though, and the stories I read, and really one of the main drivers for me wanting to go to GDC in the first place was to network in person and to really meet people in the industry and pick their brains and really just kind of get a feel for it all. And that I don't think you can replicate with an online event, even if you had little Zoom hangouts or meetings and stuff. It's not quite the same. And that I think it's a little disappointing. I get it. And by no means am I saying that this is the wrong move. I certainly think they're doing the right thing by making it online. I don't think it's a good time to have a big in-person thing. So hopefully, this goes well and they can come back in 2021 even stronger with an even better GDC in person back in San Francisco.
Yeah, and maybe the stronger version you're talking about has the physical and the online component, and maybe it can be both of those. And then hopefully you get to go to one of these after parties eventually, play "Don't Stop Believin'" on Rock Band, and have Cliffy B like spitting in your face as he's like belting it out in your guitar.
Oh, how did you know I was going to say something about Cliffy B? How in the world did you read my mind that all I wanted to do was bump into him at a Starbucks line and he just screams in my face because I accidentally scuffed his $500 sneakers? How in the world did you get in my head and know where I was going to go with this? So good.
We are the pod pals.
We really are.
It's unstoppable. So someone who's going to not be a pal to the people over at E3 any longer is Jeff Keighley. Now, he used to run their E3 stadium or their E3 stage, essentially.
A Coliseum.
The Coliseum. There, that's the word I was looking for. Thank you,
Yep,
Jeffy. See,
you got
you're
it.
my better half. This is
I
the
got you.
podcast. That's
I
why.
got you.
This is why. So Summer Games Fest was just announced, and what's really interesting is this is an event that's going multiple months. It's going from May to August. JD, your
Yeah.
first initial thoughts on this event?
I love it. I don't think there's any need to cram a bunch of content into a very small window. One thing that Jeff Keighley has said is that at the core of this event is interactivity. And so I think it's smart to spread it out so that everyone can get a little more time with these games and these projects that he's going to show. So I love a 4-month window.
Yeah, so there seems like there's going to be demos that everyone can play. There's going to be interviews. You know, what I started with, I said that this is kind of a bad thing for E3 because I think a lot of people are really going to realize they don't need E3. If you look at the list of people that are in phase one that Jeff Keighley posted in the Twitter image,
Yeah.
he has everybody that would be at E3. He has all the big names. Like, it's huge. It's Bungie, it's Activision, it's Blizzard, like, it's everybody.
Oh, yeah. He has a ton of people that want to participate in this. And rightfully so. Without an E3, these companies still want to get out ahead of people and show off their games, especially before a holiday season that I think will need to be critical to make up for whatever potential losses may come on the horizon because of this quarantine. And that's not to say games has been struggling now, because the data shows that games is one of the more resistant industries to everything, if not doing exceedingly well, given that people are just sort of staying home. I don't think that will last forever, though. And so I think companies are smartly looking for ways that they can continue to show off games. What better way than to attach yourself to one of the most iconic journalists of the entire industry for my basically entire life of following gaming. I can't imagine a summer without listening to Jeff Keighley interview someone, and I'm sure you would agree with that. So yeah, so I'm excited for this. I think it's a really good idea. I think he has a pretty winning personality and a pretty winning style of attracting these developers and publishers. So I think it's going to be a big hit.
I have one critique. The
Okay.
Summerfest logo, when you first land on the website, it's the letters and they're like kind of like flying like you're on a flag. That's great. But when you scroll down, there's this like circle and it's like some, and then the R like stretches out for forever. And it looks so terrible.
I've seen the first one. Oh, I just pulled it up. Man, that is bad.
Yeah,
Oh, no. Why does it look like that?
it's on all their marketing. There's another thing where it says it in a different letter is stretched like that too.
What is that supposed to be?
They're getting across the concept that it's E3 over multiple months. They're trying to be like, hey, it's May to August. And that's why the R is stretched, but it's just, I don't like it every time I look at it, it makes me angry.
No, this is very phallic. This R stretched really long. I don't like the way this looks. I do like this little one at the top of the
Yeah.
website. This font, this little wavy font.
It's
I
great.
like the
It's
font
great.
choice. Really clean. I love the colors of this website. I do not like that long stretched R at all.
Okay. Let's move
Okay,
away to
let's move
something
on.
we do like. Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about this. A couple stories ago, you said you wondered what other games are going to have weird little contests and competitions. If there isn't a better game than a Star Wars pod racing game to have people competing, I can't think of what it is, right? And so at least we'll all be able to enjoy that on the Switch soon. The PS4 version was delayed just a little bit. So both versions are still launching in May, though the PlayStation 4 version will be towards the end, where the Switch version of this Star Wars pod racing game will be about the second weekend. So I will absolutely be buying that because I can't wait to annoy my wife by playing this game on the couch and screaming, "Now this is pod racing," every other minute.
You know what? You just made me realize, yeah, you're right. This seems like a miss because they're doing all those digital May the 4th events this coming weekend. And it seems like a huge miss that they didn't have a Star Wars pod racing like demo or playable version. And then they just like call up, like Hayden Christensen and Oscar Isaac and just get a few of the Star Wars actors like Anthony Daniels and stuff that like just come play a pod racing tournament. Like that seems like a huge miss.
Yes, I agree. And I think too, maybe they didn't want to rush the game and make it buggy and then it would die off way sooner than potential. But I am excited for it either way. I wish you're 100% right. If they could have had it ready to roll for May the 4th, that would have been huge. But you know what? I'm excited for it either way. So yeah, that's coming out in May. To the Switch, I think it's like May 14th. And then to the PlayStation 4, it will be out May 27th, I think is what I read. So
Yeah, you're 100% right. So something that, moving on, we don't know what the release dates are going to be or what's going to happen. Just real quick. Oh, there's a music cue. Bum, 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 bum. They are clowns. Look, Square Enix. They keep winning and then like shooting themselves in the foot. Why in the world would you say, we don't know how many parts this remake's going to be? Is it 3? Is it 4? Who knows? Is the only thing we're doing Final Fantasy 7 for the next 10 years? Because you would think 3 years for each game for development at least. And if there's 3 more parts to this, Square's going to be doing Final Fantasy 7 for 10 years. What a poor plan.
Yeah, it's weird. So if you haven't tracked this story, Eli obviously went off on a little bit of a tangent there, but let me break it down a bit. So in the official guidebook, the Japanese guidebook for the Final Fantasy VII Remake, there's some interviews in there with the developers, and one of the translated interviews basically sums up, one of the higher up game directors says, we're not 100% sure how many parts we're going to make Final Fantasy VII the remake in. We don't know yet. We haven't dialed that in, which seems odd because you'd think on a very high overarching strategy, you'd at least know what sections of the game are going on to what parts of your remake. We know that this first one is the Midgar section, which is 10 hours of content that they've somehow stretched into 40 to 50, which you can listen to last week's episode if you want to hear more about that. We are not going to go into that again. But really, it seems odd. If they knew that bit, you'd think that they would have sort of mapped out the next couple sections, but it doesn't seem like they have. And it also doesn't seem like they have cared to yet. Yeah, this is not great.
So a lot of the Final Fantasy people that I follow are people that like Square Online. They have said that optimistically, you would think the next game would end at the Gold Saucer, which is about
Yes,
halfway through the game.
makes sense.
And then if that's part 2 and that's halfway through the game, then they need at least 2 more parts, at minimum 2 more parts to get it going. I can't see them pumping out one of these every year. Every 2 years would probably be a stretch. It seems like it's going to be 2.5 to 3 years between each of these segments.
At least I know that I can skip the Square Enix conference at whatever form E3 takes for the next 10 years safely, and it will all be summed up when I just watch gameplay footage of a game from the 1990s. I won't really miss anything. And speaking of the 1990s, we might see a new Tony Hawk game soon. So a German retailer accidentally leaked that they had a listing for a game called Tony Hawk Alcatraz, had a price point, had a launch date at the end of October. This points to being a new game, right? So we haven't seen a game called Alcatraz. We've seen settings of Alcatraz in Tony Hawk games of yore, but we have not actually seen a game called Tony Hawk Alcatraz. And so what we've talked about on the pod before and rumors that we've read is that they may be looking to revamp and remake some older games. This instead would point to an entirely new game. And I'm not quite sure where this part of the rumor came in, but it is hilarious is that this Tony Hawk game may potentially be a battle royale, which what?
Look, Activision, please make this. Please let me roll around on a skateboard and punch people in their stupid heads. Or like, could you imagine if you fail a trick or you fall off your skateboard, you're eliminated?
You die.
Yeah, or if you're like skating along and you crash into someone, you're both eliminated, or you punch them in the head like as you're skating. I don't know.
Well, yeah, like, is this an M-rated game where like you're skating, you skate to survive, you do tricks which gets you like money, in-game currency, so you can buy UAVs and airships and gunships that roam around?
I've got the pitch for you, JD. So all of the skateboarders are in prison in Alcatraz, and the warden's just like, skate for my amusement. Yes, my pretties. And it's like Hunger Games, but skateboard.
That sounded a little bit like you were going for in Destiny in the Prison of Elders. He's like, skate for me, yes.
Damn it. Oh, man. Okay, this is a perfect story. It's great. We'll keep an eye on Tony Hawk. Something that we've been keeping an eye on all
every week.
We're going to bring you a new segment, and it's just like, dum, 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 dum. This week in Animal Crossing, brought to you by JD.
All right. Well, we'll go through these quick because every week we talk about Animal Crossing. There will always be Animal Crossing news, and the last bit of this is really the best part of this segment anyway. So just a few cool things if you didn't see them this week. There's a group called Shrimp Club, and they uploaded footage this week of their island that they turned into an entire obstacle course. So it had a start and a finish, and it had all sorts of amazing little intricacies for climbing and rolling across furniture to get across obstacles and having to like dig up colored items and match them to your thing to be able to advance. And it was it was really fantastic. The next bit that we saw is so Queer Eye's Bobby Burke is actually giving people advice on how to decorate their island homes. So he is IRL, helps decorate and is an interior designer. And so now they're translating that and showing some of that in game. There's a lot of really amazing ideas that have come from this. And it's really cool to see other people's island houses. Have you looked at any of this, Eli?
I haven't seen any of the houses. I was just excited that there was just advice for that.
It exists, and I highly recommend that you watch that. And another thing I highly recommend that you watch if you haven't seen it is people are taking, so in resident services, Tom Nook and Isabel, they have a little dance that they do, and people are taking that and putting it to tons of popular songs and posting them on Twitter and on TikTok. And some of them are so well synced that it seems like that was the way that it was meant to be in the first place. And
I wake up in the morning and I put on the September one and they're just like, ah, yeah. And I'm just like, yes, get it, Isabel.
Break it down now.
Say that you remember. Yeah, I'm all into it, dude. I love it.
It's perfect. It really is. There's a Michael Jackson one that is so well synced.
I gotta find it.
Okay, let's round it out here. One of the writers on Rogue One has created a talk show in game called Animal Talking, and in the basement of his in-game home, he's built a set complete with lighting and TV cameras and a couch with little ferns. It kind of looks like the Between Two Ferns Zach Galifianakis set almost. And he invites guests onto his island. They record the footage and then they go back and dub it and voice over it. And they use the in-game emotes to kind of punctuate the conversations that they're having. So in real life, they'll, maybe be talking about something in the movie and come across something shocking. And then he'll overlay that with the shocked reaction in Animal Crossing. It's so thoughtfully made and so creative. It's brilliant.
So he's got a guy on the drum kit that does the ba-bumch when he makes jokes. He's had Naomi Kyle from IGN on there. Yes. He's had Felicia Day on there. He DM'd Reggie about being on the show, and Reggie was like, yo, let's set it up. So it's so good. It's so exciting. And he even has musical guests come on, and he plans on having comedians come and do sets. It's just perfect. I love everything about it.
It really is good. And it just shows how much this game has transcended so many different groups, because we've seen people like Danny Trejo and T-Pain are posting photos online of them playing Animal Crossing or things about Animal Crossing. And it's these people coming out of the woodwork that you literally would have never expected have heard of this game, let alone maybe owned a Switch, that are talking about Animal Crossing. And it just absolutely stuns me, but it also makes me very happy.
Look, man, when T-Pain was like, yo, my girl's low on funds, I had to stop by her island and
drop off some bells.
You're just like, T-Pain, what a man. Hello.
God, he's such a gentleman. All right, let's round out this week in Animal Crossing with two personal stories. Yeah. I want you to go first because this is one of the best things that happened this week.
So Denny's had this random tweet about just hey, there are Denny's potentials within Animal Crossing. It was open for business, and they made their house look like a Denny's, and they photoshopped some stuff. And it was just DM for details. And I DM'd for details. I was like, yo, what's up? Animal Crossing ? Didn't get a response.
No reply.
No reply. This is day 5. And then I broke down today and I was like, I showed you my island. Please respond. And we'll have to wait to see what Denny says to me. But look, man, I've been left on red by a lot of people in life.
But Denny's.
A mid-level, midnight breakfast eatery? No. If Waffle House did this to me, I would understand. They've got standards.
It's expected.
But Denny's?
Denny's, come on. We know you listen to the show, and we really need you to step it up here. You've heartbroken Eli. He doesn't even want to log on to Animal Crossing anymore. He's terraformed his island, so all the water says welcome to Denny's in big letters. I mean, come on, do the right thing. Hit him up. He's inquiring about the opportunity, and I need you to deliver. All right, and then to round it out, I'll just tell a little bit of a personal story of my week in Animal Crossing. So I was at work, and I got a text from my wife, and it was a photo of her talking to the Nooklings to inquire about turnip prices. And it was insanely high. It was over 600 bells a turnip. And so I thought she had just seen it on a Facebook group and sent it to me this is a high number. And then I looked at the photo more closely and noticed our kitchen table and noticed our floors, and then very quickly realized that was in her game. So as soon as I get home, we I text some friends about it and just let them know, like, hey, I know you guys have turnips and you need to sell. Like, you can come do them here. We have a ton. It's an insanely high price. I have never gotten replies back from friends faster for anything. Like, I could probably send a text saying, I am dying. Like, please call me. And I wouldn't get the same response rate and frequency that I was to just be like, hey, if you want to sell your in-game vegetables for fake money, please come and visit us. It was insane how quickly and the replies kept coming, right? So I'd send a text like, hey, yeah, we're gonna be on later once I get home from work. And then like 15 minutes later, be like, hey, are you home yet? That part in and of itself was hilarious. And I love my friends. And obviously it was just funny. What we decided to do though is cash in, right? Because obviously the venture capitalism of Tom Nook rubbed off on us a little bit. And so we posted this on a Animal Crossing Facebook group that she's in, just to, hey, we have this. If you want to come, like, tips are appreciated. If you want to drop off, materials, that's really what I need. If you want to leave bells, that's great too. So we posted this photo on this Facebook group, and I kid you not, within like 5 minutes, we had about 70 replies to this post.
Wow.
Of people just like, please let me come, please. Like, I will tip you this amount. I will tip you this. I will bring you rare star fragments. Just like people going absolutely nuts. And we got through a decent amount of them, and people were very generous and kind. And that was the best part about it. That's the way I want to wrap this up is people are extremely nice. Like, people were complimenting the island. People were like very politely asking, like, do you mind if I go and shop at the Able Sisters? Like, do you mind if I, whatever. And everyone tipped. Like, you hear these terrible stories about people that show up and like try to rip you off or whatever. Like, everyone was very nice to drop money, drop, wood or whatever we needed, right? It's just it was a pretty cool little moment in Animal Crossing. So
JD, you got that GamePitch Podcast flag pattern I sent you, right? And you put that at the airport so everyone saw that? All 70 came through?
Oh no.
What JD? You're breaking up. What the?
Gotta go. New phone, who dis?
No, I'm kidding. That's amazing, dude. Yeah, like, and I think that's one of the cool things. And this isn't to say of Nintendo fans or because we're not like Call of Duty people or all the people that are
No.
being crazy on Valorant, being all sexist and terrible. Like, I think that there is a community, the people who play Animal Crossing, like, they care about other, like, cause yeah, like, I mean, if Elijah Wood can be courteous and be like, hey man, pick some fruit, like all these other people doing it, really, they're just following Elijah's lead here. And once again, we must say our Animal Crossing prayer. What was it?
Please do it.
The Elijah, the Larson, and the Chrissy Teigen. Bellmen.
Oh, so good. So
okay.
Good. All right. So that wraps up our fastballs. That wraps up this week in Animal Crossing. And so now we have 3 pretty big stories on the scouting report. And I got to be honest, I'm really excited for one of these more than I am the other two, but they're all really good. So let's talk about Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Yeah, I want to start at the very beginning.
Please.
So I believe it was on Wednesday. An artist, Boss Logic, someone who I've been following for a long time. He's been growing over the years. He's done a lot of Marvel posters. He's done even the alternate version of the Spider-Man Homecoming, Homecoming, Far From Home, DVD art. Yeah, he's incredible. He's a guy who's just been photoshopping and making just the coolest stuff online for forever. And it's really cool to see him get to the level where Ubisoft's just like, hey man, do you want to do this Photoshop reveal of our cover? And so basically what happened is it started early in the morning, and it started with just some water and a grassy field with a castle behind it. And then as the hours go on, he's just photoshopping and adding stuff to it. Now, on the one hand, I'm just like, I don't want to see how a magician does his tricks. But then on the other hand, I just watched all of it because it was,
of course,
crazy
it's
weird
cool
to see it. Yeah, just like how he takes one pattern and recolors it or like moves it or stretches it. And it's like the same thing that he made the waves with is like the same image, just like 7 different times, forwards and backwards, and different lengths and heights and shaders and cuts. And just so incredible and impressive to see. But this is something we kind of talked about before, how there were rumors that maybe the female was the lead protagonist, and they have come out and they have said, and we're going to get into a ton of details about Valhalla, but I just wanted to start here that like it was just like another dude with a beard on a cover. So like I was just like that was the first thing when I saw the stream I was disappointed. It was just like the silhouette of a dude with a beard on a cover, and I'm just like, again, this is the thing. It's really interesting for a company to let an artist like this just show the process over time. And I think as soon as you see it, hey, it's Vikings, but he added all the Viking ships, he added the soldiers. So I started out like, oh, don't show me the magic trick. And then by the end of it, I was like, okay, this is really effing
More,
cool.
please.
Yeah.
The reveal was really cool. And that doesn't even go into the CGI trailer, right?
No, yeah, and that was the next day. So that was on Thursday.
Right.
And it's funny because I'm usually actually against these because Blizzard was the master of this, where they would have the coolest, amazing CGI trailer that was nothing like how World of Warcraft played, which is always hilarious to be like, oh my god, look at how beautiful and cool this game is. And then you play World of Warcraft and you're like, Windows 8, like
Yeah, you're just spamming like, please heal, please heal, please heal.
yeah, and everything like looks like freaking bricks. It's like Minecraft, but only a step better. Yeah, but the CGI trailer was really cool. But again, and I think I'm going to keep echoing this across the CGI trailer, across all the marketing, all the screenshots. It's just the male version of the protagonist,
Right.
and
No female like anywhere in sight.
in sight, and they just keep saying, and I don't know why they're not catching more heat for this, or why no one's universally roasting Ubisoft for this, because you said it last week. It's just like, hey, is it actually going to service a story, or are you just doing it just to placate people or to just check that box? And
Yeah.
it feels like check that box to me, especially with all the marketing being like, it's just the dude. And maybe I could be wrong. Maybe when they reveal the story details, they're going to go all the lady version, and she's going to be in all the stuff for the story and for the screenshots.
Right, and that's what I was going to say is it's not that they've done anything wrong yet, because for all we know, there isn't an option to play a woman, right? They haven't explicitly said that there is, unless I missed it.
No, they did. They've
Oh,
said
okay.
that you can play as man or woman.
Oh, I didn't even
Yeah.
see that. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
and
then that's
why
bad.
it makes me more mad. Yeah, that's why I even put on our outline here, red card, question mark, because I want to give them a red card, because I feel like it's BS, because every screenshot, the cover, the marketing, everything we've seen is the male version. And
Yeah.
you can play as man or woman. Like, we checked that box, guys. Haha.
Yeah, that's disappointing then. I didn't even catch that bit, and I had just assumed like what we'd seen was what they have showed, right? And it was all male focused, and maybe it was just going to be a male story, which is fine. If that's the way you make the game, then that's the way you make the game, right? Certainly you can do that. You don't have to have a playable man or woman, but don't just tack it on. You're right. It's exactly what we said last week. It's it's exactly that.
So a lot of the things do look good, and a lot of people. There's even people online that are like, "Girl Vikings, mer," and I'm just like, "Shut up! Like, get out of here!"
Seriously,
With that.
yeah.
Leave.
No more of that.
Unsubscribe to this podcast right now. There are a lot of positive and good things, so I'll just kind of run through some of the features and things they detailed. Dual wielding's coming back. I really like the logo because it's the Assassin A, and it has like 2 wooden handles and 2 axes to kind of symbolize.
It looks good.
It looks so sick. There were very few story details revealed. It's going to be in Wessex primarily. In England, there are 4 kingdoms and some surprises set during the Dark Ages, but they have ship combat. Yeah, the studio that's the lead studio on this, they were the studio that made Black Flag, so they're experts in ship combat. And a record 14 to 15 studios worked on this game.
Wow, that's massive.
Yeah, I know. There are raids, there are armor and tattoo customizations. The settlements are going to be really big. So kind of like Ezio's villa, you're going to be, tending to the people around you and kind of helping grow your village and your settlement.
I like that.
In different ways. There is hunting, there's fishing, there's dice, there's drinking games, and flighting, which is Viking rap battles.
Which I love, which I'm so into.
There is, what's it called? Confirmation of smart delivery. That's the word I was looking for.
Yes.
Yeah, Assassin's Creed Valhalla is going to have smart delivery. That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah, which is amazing because I have said this before when we've dug into some previous details that Microsoft gave us for the Series X about smart delivery and how they were going to be utilizing it first party, but they had opened it up for third parties as well. And I love to see that we're months and months and months away, and there are already third parties that are talking about this. And obviously, it's great to see Ubisoft is doing it as well. So it'll be cool, if you don't get this Series X right at launch, that you can at least pick it up on your, Xbox One and start playing and then get that copy on your Series X whenever you get it. And then the other bit I want to talk about too is that CGI trailer. One thing that they showed in there is at one point there's lightning and there's thunder, and the protagonist screams out that Odin is with us. And it implies, maybe we talked last week about how the rumors are kind of circulating that there might be like a mythical, mystic element to the game.
Yeah.
And I think this trailer showed that without showing it yet, right? They certainly hinted very heavily that there's going to be some sort of god in play, especially at the very beginning of the trailer where there's the voiceover from the King of England who's
Mhm.
saying, they don't believe in, they're godless people, but it's like very clearly voiced over on the main protagonist, like praying at an altar. And so
Mhm.
there's definitely going to be some sort of mythical element to it. And I think that could be really cool from a gameplay point of view.
Give me full Final Fantasy summons. Just do it. Just like let Poseidon come in, or not Poseidon. Who are the Norse gods? I don't know. Definitely not Poseidon.
Maybe Odin, the one I said earlier.
Yeah, maybe that one. No, time out. The thing that I do want to go back to just with smart delivery is that if Xbox has this, what is Sony doing? Right? Like
Oh,
they
yeah.
have to, right? They like has this pushed their like forced their hand. Sony has to figure out how to do that, or they just have to give people the code for the 5 version if they're gonna buy 4, right?
And then what? Does Sony eat that second copy every time? Like, do
Yeah.
they? And then, like, that would trickle down to an impact, I think, how expensive this console will be if they need to build in the cost of them buying everybody an extra copy of the game for
Yeah.
a long time, right?
Or they need to figure out how to do smart delivery, right? Because
Which is
Microsoft's
the
doing
better
it.
solution.
Yeah, and Microsoft is like early and often about it, man. They're like upfront with this, like, "Hey, smart delivery, it's a thing, it's
Oh,
coming."
yeah. We're
Like,
going to do it.
a lot of
Yep.
games are having it. So if Sony doesn't have that, that's another checkbox or another mark that should put people in the Xbox camp.
This seems like such a next gen feature now, and we're not even in the next gen yet, right? We're at
Mhm.
the precipice of these new consoles, but it seems like such a next gen feature that it's unfathomable that we'd go into this and Sony doesn't have some sort of system that is the same thing. Yeah, you're 100% right. You are so spot on about that. I can't imagine that Sony hasn't also thought this, and I'm very curious to see what their solution or what their response to it is.
They need an answer.
They do.
That's just the bottom line. So moving away from Assassin's Creed, we need some answers. Naughty Dog needs some answers. Our hearts need some answers. Pour one out. It has been a rough week for Naughty Dog.
It has. For all those employees. It's really terrible. And so let's start at the beginning. So this week someone had leaked a lot of pivotal scenes and gameplay moments from Last of Us Part 2, and it came right at the heels of Sony delaying the game the first go around. So they delayed the game because of the global pandemic. Some terrible person's response to that was to leak a ton of moments and gameplay from the game.
Real quick, we're not going to tell you the spoilers. We're not going to address the spoilers. We are spoiler away, right?
Oh yeah, we'll never do that. We are not terrible people. Even though we're covering this story, we would never ever do that. So originally it was thought that this was a leak from an employee in response to a lot of the stories that have been circulating about the crunch and the really harsh conditions that went into making The Last of Us Part 2. And it seems like now that wasn't the case at all.
Yeah, and so it's one of those things where it's a lot of internet sleuthing, but Sony has actually come out and confirmed to someone that they have identified the leaker. They're not revealing the identity, but they believe they know what happened. And this could be anywhere along the process. Like there are gold discs out there because people are manufacturing this game somewhere. It could have been someone in marketing, someone in a different team, but they said they identified it. And I think that it's one of those games media things where the outrage is more exciting. So that's why saying it was a disgruntled Naughty Dog employee from Crunch was, that was a hot headline, and
Yeah.
I think that's why it got so much traction. And there's even been a ton of Naughty Dog people who have come out and said like it's great to work for a Naughty Dog. So it's it's of course I think me and you we're always going to try and highlight both sides of the story.
We have to.
When you hear that headline initially, you're like, oh man, it makes sense that a disgruntled employee. And there was even people who were making claims that people weren't paid, and a lot of people from Naughty Dog have come out and like in stern opposition to a lot of those statements. But now people are just kind of flinging all kinds of mud online that it's kind of hard to sift to the truth of it. Because like if it was an employee, Sony would want to shut that shit down immediately, but they wouldn't want to confirm that to the public either. They just would want to excise that and be like, hey, we would sue you, but this is take this package and leave kind of thing. And
Yeah.
it's just me speculating because we don't know what happened. Like I said, it could have been someone in marketing, someone in manufacturing, it could have been anywhere in the chain. But someone did do this and it sucks. So I've been trying to avoid spoilers. I've muted like Last of Us, Naughty Dog. I've muted all kinds of words on Twitter just to keep myself safe because I'm super worried. I don't want this ruined for me. And there are people that are like DMing it, putting it in Twitch chats, they're Redditing, like it's just like it's getting everywhere because people suck sometimes with this stuff. It's the
Yeah.
Dumbledore, it's the Snape kills Dumbledore shit, man.
Yeah, I know. It's terrible. Or like the Han Solo dies stuff, right? Like it's so bad, the spoiler culture. All that aside, right? All the consumer getting spoiled aside, which is terrible in and of itself. Like let's think about all the Naughty Dog employees who have poured so much of themselves and their time and the raw passion to create this game, right? A critically acclaimed follow-up from I mean, I can't even begin to imagine how they must feel about all of this hard work getting dashed out by some person posting something on Reddit, posting something on a
Mhm.
Twitter thread, right? On a various stupid online forums that have nothing to do with the game. They're just posting it there, like just to be assholes. And it sucks for those employees who I think any creative project, the journey is certainly a big part of it, but the end and the release and watching people enjoy it. I know for you and I, we love making the show, but it's so rewarding when someone's like, hey, I listened to this episode and it was really good. That feels like 100 times better than the making of the show, right? And
Mhm,
it's the
mhm.
same thing here with this story.
Our hearts go out to them. We pour one out. The new release date is now June 19th. You can look online and there's guides to the Ultimate Edition and all the different versions of the game too. But we're sad. We're sad for you, Naughty Dog. It doesn't fully spoil the game, but it does put an asterisk on it. Like, and that just sucks for them. Like,
Yeah.
like when they think on it, there's going to be that asterisk of like, crap, why'd this have to happen? So
Yep.
I regret it. I regret it for them. I
Me
love
too.
them. Naughty Dog has
Yeah.
only brought me happiness, except for when I die and crash 2 and 3 a lot because those games are stupid hard. Like that's, but that aside, they've brought me nothing but joy.
That's fair. I can absolutely agree with that, and I sympathize.
Now we're gonna go to a happy place because Microsoft announced a games preview or a Xbox. We assume that this is a pseudo E3 type of event coming May 7th. So that's a Thursday, May 7th. It's at 9 a.m. Mountain Time where we are. So 8 a.m. Pacific Time, I think.
Yep. So Aaron Greenberg, who's pretty high up on the Xbox chain, did come out to say and to kind of lay the record straight that this event is going to focus pretty hard on Microsoft's third-party partners. And so it's safe to say that we aren't going to see probably a lot of first-party things. We're not going to see much from Microsoft's owned studios, but they really want to highlight things that are going to be out and about with the developers that they've been working on for who knows how long, right? And I think that's super exciting. There's obviously a lot of amazing Xbox games. The exclusives are a part of the ecosystem, right? There's so many great third-party games that have been floating around or rumored for a bit that I think that's going to be equally as exciting. Would you agree?
No, yeah, I'm completely excited. And I didn't know that it was going to be third party games. I thought that this was, only saw the Phil Spencer tweet. So I saw him say that, hey, we're going to show games, next gen games running on Xbox Series X. So I had no idea that it wasn't first party stuff. And now I'm sad.
Here's the thing. I do think we might still see like one of those one more thing type moments where they still show some first party sneak peek right at the end, right? Just to wet our whistle for what's next to come, because they also were very clear to say this is the first of what we're going to be doing throughout the summer. And so we're going to see this, and it's going to be a really great peek at third party stuff. But I don't even think they're going to talk price point. I don't think they're going to give us a launch day. They're not doing any of that, right? They are building hype in a very organic, smart way by showing us the games. Show me why I want to buy the box. Don't tell me the price yet, right? Hype me to the point where the price is irrelevant. And I think a good way to do that is with these third-party games. So we put together a game, and do you want to tell everyone what that game is?
Yeah, so Xbox Series X, X being 10, we have 10 predictions each of things that might happen in this May 7th announcement video, trailer, whatever it's going to be, conference, I guess. And how the game works is if either of the predictions that we have on our list are the same, they are null and void. And whoever gets the most points wins. So, if the thing that you predict happens let's just say they reveal the price point. If you had that on your list and I had that on my list, it's null and void. But if only you had it, then you get the point for it.
I made my entire list games, just so you know. So if you made anything that is like price or launch day or something, you're going to get an automatic point. I took the wording of the tweets from Phil Spencer and from Aaron Greensberg, I think is his name. I took those very seriously. So
I was just using that as an example primarily.
uh-huh.
Do you want removes from prediction list?
That was just this smashing on the keyboard in the background.
All right, so let's just, in no particular order, let's just go through our picks here. You do one, I do one. Work for you, buddy?
If you want to do it that way, yeah, absolutely. So
Yeah.
I put for my first pick, I think it'd be amazing if we see something for the Lord of the Rings Gollum, the game that has been rumored for a bit. We know it's coming next gen. It's getting made by Daedalic Entertainment, which is a German studio. And we know it's next gen. We absolutely know. So I would love to see something for that game. Do you have it on your list?
I do not. I have
All
nothing.
right.
I have nothing on there. So that's one. That's one. And remember, we only get the points if it's actually in the presentation.
Oh, I know.
Okay.
What's your first pick?
Well, because I didn't know it was third-party stuff. I put 7+ minutes of Halo gameplay.
Well, you could go ahead and just cross that off. There is a 0% chance that we see that.
Keep roasting me. It's whatever. What's your next pick?
My next pick is that we're going to see some details for Beyond Good and Evil 2.
Okay, Beyond Good and Evil 2. I like it.
Is that on your list?
It is not on my list.
Oh, I like how different our lists are already. Okay, go ahead. What's your second pick?
They will reveal the diskless Xbox Series X variation.
So a hardware announcement. Interesting.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Did you read the tweets, Eli?
No.
Okay, I'm going to go on. My next pick is that we've seen some stuff on Twitch before a couple months ago, but I think we're going to get a lot more details on Outriders. Okay.
I'm going to go with, we're going to see Cyberpunk running on Xbox Series X. We're going to get a really big Cyberpunk trailer.
That's a good one. I wanted to put Cyberpunk on my list, but I had almost guaranteed that you were going to put it on yours, so I didn't. So I think you just got a free point because I think they have to show that game. There's no way they don't. We know CD Projekt Red is going to be there. What else would they show? So yes, congratulations on your free point that you get. My next one for my fourth pick is Starfield. I think that we're going to get just something out of Bethesda. I would love to see something on Starfield.
Gotcha. My next one is Psychonauts 2 will get a release date.
You've cursed that game. I thought you remembered that they're never going to get it because you backed it, remember?
Yes. Shush, JD. Shush your mouth. Your mouth.
Okay. We'll see what happens. My pick number 5, so halfway through, is that we are going to get significant amount of detail for Elden Ring.
What is that one again? I don't remember Elden Ring.
So Elden Ring is from Software, and it's the game that George R.R. Martin is collaborating on, and it's a big open world RPG. Do you remember the announced trailer was like last E3?
Now I know what you're talking about. Yeah, so it's George R.R. Martin plus Soulsborne.
Exactly, and I think we're going to get some details on it.
I have Star Wars Maverick on my list, which is that rumored space dogfight game. I think this is where it gets revealed.
I hope you're right. I really do. I didn't put that on my list, but God, that is a really, really good one. So for my sixth pick, I have Gods and Monsters, which is another Ubisoft title that they've been working on. So I'm banking that with them talking about Valhalla gameplay being shown, that they're really going to lean in hard to the Ubisoft partnership and show a couple things. So
that makes sense. My next pick is Perfect Dark something.
Oh, okay. Cross it off because I have Perfect Dark number and it's just the pound sign. So because I wasn't sure what they would do with it. So you can just go ahead and cross that one off. No points for that. And weirdly enough, that was literally my next one in the list. So
perfect.
The next one is a little indie game that we've seen some footage on called Orphan of the Machine. And I think we're going to see a little bit about that.
I am going with the Anthem revival is shown. Whatever the update, the Anthem next or whatever it is, that's going to be shown.
Good one. My next two are not going to just be things I read off. I'm going to preface it a little bit.
Okay.
I think that we are going to get some sort of Banjo-Kazooie reboot or sequel. And here's why. And I need you to calm down because I already know that you're foaming at the mouth. Microsoft is doing a really, really, really good job of trying to make themselves less about the hardware and more about the software. And one of the big rumors that we've been hearing is that we'll see Xbox Live or Xbox Game Pass in some form come to the Switch, right? And so I think a good brick in the foundation of that alliance would be for them to hash out some way to share this IP and to get some sort of game, some sort of Banjo game back into the rotation. It is a long shot, but I
No,
just hear
no.
me out.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. I hoped against hope, and I initially had Banjo Redouille on my list, and I took it out because I didn't think the gods of gaming would be that kind to me, and I replaced it with another Xbox game on Switch. And that thing you just said is essentially the thing that I like. That's on my list.
So that is my thinking for my 9th pick. Do you want me to cross that out, or does it count?
If you're gonna say Banjo is shown, because I took Banjo Redouille off mine because I have Xbox game like that. That's they're gonna show. Hey, this Xbox game is coming to Switch. Like that's what my guess was.
Okay, I'm keeping mine then because that is not the same thing.
Yeah.
So then now we're on to your number 9 pick, unless that was your number 9 pick.
Yeah. Well, wait. I think I'm behind you because you had a cross off because I still have yeah, I have 2 more left, right? Oh yeah, so this would be my 9.
Yeah, so this would be your.
Yeah, my bad. I'm not smart. They're gonna show the Assassin's Creed lady. That's my guess.
Ah, that's interesting. So they've saved a whole layer of it for just this reveal.
Yeah, I'm hoping it's lady time. Yeah, I want the Assassin's Creed gameplay reveal to feature the female protagonist.
And then I'm going to round it out. My 10th pick is my one more thing moment from Microsoft. They're going to show a first party game and they're going to show Fable 4. And here is why. So Playground Games over in Leamington Spa in the UK has been hiring like crazy for the last few years for RPG rendering artists, for character designers, for open world artists, for people who have engine background in creating large games. They have been hiring a lot of those people. Now, you can make the argument that Playground is going to take that to create some sort of open world Forza, or you can say that they're going to take that and they're going to take all the Fable IP that they got. And they didn't get a lot, right? They got some of the assets, but they're going to be starting, I think, from scratch. They're going to take those assets and they're going to take those and apply them to a new world in Albion.
All right.
And that by itself will make me pre-order an Xbox Series X.
Perfect. I love it. My last pick is basic. I should have ordered them differently to reveal the 7 minutes of Halo last. I started off like just tripping. You know, like you're running a race and as soon as they shoot the gun, I'm like, and I just like immediately
fall over.
fell over. Yeah. My last is just that we're going to see the new Battlefield, whatever the 2021 version of EA's Battlefield is. I think we're going to see that.
Yeah, I think that's a safe choice. Okay, so we both only lost one of our picks, so we each have a potential 9 points that's at play here.
And we'll tweet these out, right? We'll just tweet them.
Yeah, I think we will. I think we'll put them out on Monday when the pod launches. We'll put a little tweet out with our predictions for what we expect we'll see, and then that way we can be publicly accountable.
Yes, and so everyone will know our failure and our folly. All right, that takes us out of our scouting report for today. And then now it's the namesake. In a long one today, a beefy pod, the game pitch. JD, pitch me a game.
Here's the thing. So in my neighborhood, we have this house that is pretty close to us that just has this penchant for drama. And it's not that they create the drama intentionally, but just the very existence of this house and the mannerisms and the way that they conduct themselves just creates friction with literally everybody else in our neighborhood. Okay. And to give you an example, the police have been at this house pretty much every other month since we've moved in to our house.
Wow.
And so, yeah, it's not good. What's also not good is that me and my wife have this insatiable curiosity to know what is happening at that house. So we have like logged on to like online police scanners and like looked at online crime reports to see if that address like shows up. Like it is very much we are desperate to know what happens inside those 4 walls. There is the foundation of the game. and the game is going to be called Cuffed. And so it's the artistic style is, imagine the show Cops, where it's very kind of first person-y, very shaky cam. It's very high intensity, right? That's the artistic style. And the gameplay is that there's cases that you have to go into, and the cases have very specific paths. So there's like hostage ones, there's active shooter, along that vein, right?
Yeah.
And each case is timed. And in that case, you have a very specific set of objectives that you have to accomplish. And so to vary it up, like different cases will have different skills that you have to develop. So negotiating for like a hostage one, or like if you're going into a shooting situation, like FPS skills would be important to have. And then as you move through the lines of, the case files and the case buildup you have for, let's say, hostage, you would start to unlock better skills that would then maybe help you solve different cases in a different series of crimes, right?
Gotcha. Yep.
So that's the core of the gameplay. The UI for navigating it, though, is a police blotter. So on the main screen, you could like move your cursor or move your joystick around little like radio icons and hear what the police blotter would be for that crime in progress. So you get no visual cue of what you're going into for the mission. You just hear what's getting reported over the radio. And so it could be detailed. It could be scant for details, and objectives show up as you get over to that mission as it loads. And so the loading screen would be the recording of, like such and such crime is in progress. This is what's being reported, right? And so you might get like, oh, cool. Like I know exactly who the perp is and what I need to go do. Or it might be like unidentified shooter is on site, right? And
Gotcha.
so then that kind of goes back to like in a certain like investigative line of crimes, maybe you unlock some skills that help you identify things very quickly, which then would help you with those missions where you don't get as much data going into them.
Yeah.
And so that's my pitch this week. It's called Cuffed.
I want you to make this, and it sounds like there's a house in your neighborhood where you could go knock on the door and you can get some background research. You can say, "Hey, I'm making this video game.
It's loosely based on how terrible you are.
I've noticed the police have been here many times. Is there any information you can give me?" It's all for research.
And then when I don't show up for the pod next week, you'll know why.
Okay, so Cuffed, and I like what you're saying with the loading screens and then how you get information. When you were talking about getting, going down certain, like the hostage tree or like the series of levels and stuff like that, it sounded like you would get like more abilities or more information that could help you in other levels, right? It's like,
yeah, exactly. So like if you're doing like cases that require you to investigate crime that's already happened, then though in that path, maybe you learn some better skills about how to quickly identify things, right? And so then
yeah, gotcha.
you have that skill now in your skill tree. And so if you go into a mission where as you load in on the report, it's like, hey, unidentified person, well, because you have that skill that helps you identify things quicker, it would help you solve it. Whereas if you went in without that, you could maybe find the wrong thing and maybe you shoot someone that you're not supposed to. I don't know. And then you get put on probation.
Yeah, it's like a Mega Man, the bosses, whatever order you do them in matters, because then your weapon helps you at a different boss. Yeah, that's awesome. I like it.
Same idea. Yep.
Cuffed. Coming to Google Stadia, the 11th game.
On a blockbuster year for Stadia.
You thought 10 was too many.
We're going to turn it up to 11.
All right, you know what? Actually, I need to turn up to 11 real quick on these red cards because I want to hand out multiple ones this week. Are you okay with that, JD?
I'm ready to listen and just react.
The Naughty Dog leaker, red card, easy, right?
There's no question. No one could argue this. It's an easy red card.
All right, Elon Musk and Dr. Disrespect in Congress together getting a red card.
Yeah, they're both being such idiots in regards to the current coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic, and both have very public platforms. So to be so stupid so publicly is recklessly dangerous.
Now, I want to say we all have conflicting opinions, backgrounds about all this stuff, but there are multiple reports. Dr. Disrespect, if you didn't know, he went online and he kind of spread some conspiracy theory coronavirus stuff. And when I say conspiracy theory, it is coming from doctors and people are debunking these reports left and right, but they're not virologists or it's like a neurologist that was saying this stuff. Like, what does this guy know about infectious disease and like, this
Right.
kind of stuff? So
Right.
one thing, so Dr. Disrespect's chat was kind of blowing him up, and other people were like evangelizing him and like cheering him on for this. But this is something that's a quote that I want to read you real quick because it really hit me hard. And this is from someone in his chat. It said, "My grandpa died from this shit. Do you have a degree in virology?" I can't say that. Virology?
Virology.
Virology. There you go. Speak what you know. So, and that's the point, guys. Like, for me, it's just like, hey, let's be a little cautious. Let's, be a little safer, or maybe not go to that fun family function or go get pizza that one time because someone's grandma can die from this. And whether
Yeah.
you don't believe the reports or the other things, like, it is happening to some people. So there are facts out there, and we're all gonna come to the facts and the things that we see in the science with our background and our history and all that. But I just encourage you to read. And I really think what Dr. Disrespect was doing was not cool. There's some articles that kind of dive deep into the things that he was using as fact, just challenging, basically, just saying yes, sir, to the government. But for Elon, he lost, or he made his mistake to the tune of $14 billion because he decided to tweet out, in my opinion, the Tesla stock too high, and then he lost people like thousands of dollars. Like, some guy tweeted, he's just like, "Hey, you just lost me 10 grand. Thanks, Elon." Like,
yep. Yeah, terrible. And then followed that up by tweeting "Reopen America." Like, it just absolutely freaking out on Twitter. Yeah.
And then he was like, "I'm selling all my worldly possessions. My girlfriend Grimes is upset. Oh, but by the way, I own Gene Wilder's home, so you can't change anything about it." Like, it was a tirade. So Dr. D, in solidarity with Elon. Elon, look, I've been a fan of Elon in the past, but now it's kind of spiraling out, my guy.
I still want a Tesla so bad, but then I'm like, this dude is straight up crazy right now, or he's just on a lot of acid. I don't know.
Could be any or all.
It could be any or all.
Last red card I want to hand out is just to the games media in general. And we kind of touched on this earlier, how the outrage sells clicks, like the stuff when it comes to the Naughty Dog stuff and all that. It's a common problem from a lot of the main news outlets that I respect and go to. And I had to do a deep amount of Google searching to even find coverage on any of this. But essentially, we had reported, and this will kind of be a penalty too. I'll kick myself a little bit here, but we had had reported on the Randy Pitchford story and all the stuff that it came out about that, about the people not getting their bonuses, being underpaid, and everything that went along with that. And on LinkedIn, a lot of his employees came out in loud support and in loud, just basically thanking or being like, "Hey, this is not correct," of their entire studio situation. Apparently, Randy Pitchford very recently gave away 30% of the company to the employees. There were a lot of people saying that the conditions are fine. There are some people who were saying, "Hey, I've worked at 4 gaming studios and this is the best I've been treated," or "This is the best one." And there's, and there's always going to be those cases where there's that one person that's really disgruntled or upset. And we talk about the vocal minority a lot too. And it seems like the people who work at Gearbox, a good portion of them, or at least from the posts on LinkedIn, are in staunch opposition to the stuff that's been reported. So, I gave Randy a red card before, and now I want to give it to the games media because no one covered this story. They only covered the outrage angle of it. And that's your Kotakus, your IGNs, and, some of these bigger outlets like that. None of them covered the LinkedIn story and the other side of it, of the developers coming out and saying, "Hey, we support this guy." So that sucks that they want to keep the one story, or they want to just push out their agenda essentially of it. That's my feel on it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think we rescind the red card from Randy Pitchford, and we have to give it to the media for having such a one-sided view of this entire thing. And certainly that then translates to us giving ourselves, a little penalty. It's no good. We reported what we saw, and I think that just speaks that we can also do better at kind of fact checking a little bit of this stuff. And
crap, did I give us a red card just now? Oh god,
we're done. So that's I think that's our red card and penalty all in one.
yeah, that's all of it. That brings us to the end of the pod. Thank you as always for listening. I feel good about this week, man.
This was a fun one. This is a good one. We would love to hear your guys' opinion on it. There's a ton of ways you can let us know. We're on Twitter and on Instagram at GamePitch Pod. I am at J to the D, and Eli is at Mario RPGino. On YouTube, you can search for us at GamePitch Podcast. You can email us your opinions at gamepitchpodcast@gmail.com. And we're on pretty much any platform that you can think of. We are on Apple, we're on Google, we're on Spotify. You can find full-length episodes on our YouTube channel, as well as exclusive behind-the-scenes look at the show on our YouTube. And yeah, Eli, anything else?
I'm so sorry, Naughty Dog. I love you guys.
Naughty Dog, we are truly sorry, and we're truly looking forward to playing Last of Us 2.